budget, and not last night, but a year ago, the 2020 budget was a pretty sad scene for women, with billions to spend on traditionally male areas, infrastructure, roads, manufacturing, the trades. Women drive on roads, I think the Prime Minister said at the time. This year, though, the government has splashed out on women's health and safety, but advocates are saying it's still not enough. Danielle Dobson is an author from Thirroul. You would know the book Breaking the Gender Code, perhaps. She researches gender equality and the ways in which it can be achieved. Hello, Danielle.
Hello, Lindsay. How are you?
I'm very well. $3 billion overall for women in last night's budget. What is your reaction to that?
Yeah, sounds like a lot, doesn't it? And compared to last year, yeah, it's brilliant. It is really good. And the majority of the spending, though, is over 4 years or more. And if we look at it, so it does sound like a lot, and it's really good from last year, but the majority of it, like 50%, 1.7 billion, is for childcare support. So the rest of the initiatives are to get women in STEM, like science, technology, engineering and maths careers and leadership. And there's grants around, making different career choices. There's changes to super, pathways to home ownership for single parents, and money in there to address domestic violence. The thing is, it's really curious. It's been put in the woman's bucket, but all of those things that I've just mentioned there, they're all for the benefit of families and society. But we've put it all in this woman's bucket. So it's kind of like being a bit pink-washed, if you like. So it's a good start and it's welcomed. But the problem is there's no grand plan or strategy to achieve gender equality. And some people are describing it as a bit of a sugar hit.
Right, okay. So, but when you say, funding for domestic violence, I mean, domestic violence, predominantly 99% affects women, and so how is that family and not for women?
So it affects women, so they're on the wrong end of it, if you like. But typically women will have children, and then the societal impact of not being able to work or not having access to work, having to reach out for government support, it has a social kind of impact on the rest of us and the whole of our society and workplaces and schools and every single aspect of our society.
So is it like the way that we think about these things, the mental framing of these things as in women's areas? Is that the issue?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're putting it in sort of looking at women as a distinct group, like a group or a bucket, rather than looking at it as a benefit for the whole of society, really. So women are at the forefront of it, and they're leading it. They're, perhaps leading their families, leading in caring roles. But the positive impacts or negative impacts are felt throughout our whole entire society.
You mentioned childcare. I mean, is there enough in that? $1.7 billion.
So the short answer is it's a really great start, but no, it's not actually quite enough to support all of the family, or the vast majority of the families that require the additional support. It will be a really great step. So the caps have been the caps on childcare subsidy being reduced, and then also there's more incentives for the second child when you have the second child with childcare. So that will open up opportunities for a lot more parents. But once again, we're looking at it very much through the lens of women, and absolutely we need encouragement to get more women in the workforce and in roles that are not just part-time or casual, but full-time work and leadership positions. So it is a great start, but once again, what the government hasn't really addressed is this is a parental challenge.
Yeah, it's interesting when we talk about childcare funding allowing women to return to work.
Yeah.
But couldn't men in that dynamic also allow the women to return to work, and they could stay at home and take the lead parent role?
Absolutely, and this is exactly what's needed. So until we can create pathways for men and fathers into the home and caring roles, we really can't create pathways for women into the workforce in full-time positions and leadership roles. It's just not possible. So this is actually one of the things that's missing in this budget. There's not a lot of talk. There hasn't been a change in the definition or an extension of parental leave for fathers. It does cover childcare for for families, but for women. But there hasn't been an extension of paid parental leave for fathers. And what we know from studies and I guess our own experiences is that first year of parenting, that first year of spending with your child, your child's first life, it is crucial to establish bonds that will be the foundation for the rest of the parenting adventure. So if we can get more dads to be a part of that first year, then that's going to set the foundations for how the relationship, the parenting relationship, the relationship with the child and the children goes forward. So there's a higher probability that there's going to be more sharing of the caring going forward.
Do you think it needs to be in something like a budget to reset gender roles? That's where it needs to be enshrined.
This is such a big challenge, Lindsay, and absolutely I would say it needs to be in policy as a starting point. And we might say, oh, why can't we work that out ourselves? But we need government support here with this. We need it to be mandated. We also need workplaces to offer it, paid parental leave. We need community groups to be working on this too, and we need cultural change. But yes, absolutely, government mandating this in policy is a great start, because when we look at big changes, like through my research, I delved deeply into how the changes and the evolution of women in the workforce and in society. And some of the biggest changes, have come about because of legislation. So women voting, equal opportunity laws, big, external forces or government forces, which then forces people, like workplaces, communities, to embed it. So it needs to start with that, yeah.
All right, well, thank you for breaking down the budget from that point of view, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you very much. Danielle Dobson from Thirroul, and you would have heard her book on ABC Illawarra, Breaking the Gender Code. You're listening to ABC Illawarra, as I mentioned, coming up soon.